There's so many great things happening right now.
Yeah, it is Oregon Duck basketball season.
Indeed.
They tip off the season against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Quack, quack.
As only, college basketball can on True TV and right here on 1080 The Fan.
Quack, 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 quack. God, it's so good. It's the best call in Ducks history.
Los Patos. So we got Georgia, Oregon coming up from Vegas at 1:30.
The rematch, but it's basketball.
Yeah, I think the Ducks basketball team's hoping it'll go a little bit better than the football kickoff to the season.
I think that's going to go better.
No,
I
Mookie
feel like
Cook
49-3 in a basketball game would be a record.
Yeah. Mookie Cook and Jackson Shelstead both unavailable for that game.
Yikes.
Yeah, injury bugs already hitting Oregon. So buckle up. We got college hoops coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon. The Oregon Ducks and Georgia Bulldogs. Beavs get their season started against Linfield. So if they lose that one, hit the panic button because things aren't going well if they lose to the Linfield Wildcats. But we got football that we need to get to and a little bit of basketball too because the Blazers had a 3-game win streak. That's over. And it
made a streak, though. It made a streak.
It did make a streak. And then when you lose, how you lose, whoa, Nelly, let's just crash this bad boy right in the side of the mountain there. The Blazers did that. We'll get to that. We have Ducks and Beavs both picking up dubs this weekend in very different ways. So we got to get to those two victories as well. Tomorrow we're going to have full football recap because it was a football palooza.
Football. It's so hard this weekend.
Yeah, we had two teams eliminate themselves from the college football playoff conversation.
Indeed.
And that's neat. Well, not as neat for you, but there's a silver lining out of your USC Trojans eliminating themselves from the college football playoffs.
So great.
Alex Grinch fired.
Here you go.
Within a week.
One step back, 2 steps forward.
Oh, man, that's like at least 2.5. 2.5 forward.
And now you're hoping that what happens to the Trojans, though I don't think that they just have the personnel to do it, happens for the Raiders. Or what happens to the Raiders happens for USC.
The bounce back game?
Yeah, they looked pretty okay. Again, they were playing the Giants. Yeah.
But they did, when they got 8 or 9 sacks against the Giants, it was, oh, God, it was bad. Also, Josh Jacobs got the ball about 40 billion times. So that was super fun.
He did.
It's weird. You pay the guy $13 million and you give him the ball and it's production.
Might want to do it.
Weird.
Might want to give him the ball there. So how do you feel about Alex? Now both of your teams have fired their coaches.
Anything that happens the rest of the year is gravy. Quite literally.
What if they lose?
Fine.
You're fine?
I'm fine.
You're just okay with it?
It's going forward. Things make more sense.
You are fire a coach and now we're okay.
Let's
makes me happy.
Yep. Thank you.
Even though the people that coach hired are all still there. And the players, they're all still there.
We can deal with that in the offseason.
Just you got rid of what you feel is ailing you. How do you feel about Lincoln Riley not wanting to fire Alex Grinch? Because that was the reports that he was like,
it's his friend.
No.
It's quite literally his friend. So, yeah,
I'm not
I get it.
doing it. But then the administration was like, no, you're firing him.
No, through 8 weeks, you've given up more points than any year in program history. So he's going. That's how this – that's the thing. It's like this isn't just a run-of-the-mill giving up points. This is giving up the most points in program history.
Yeah.
So, he had to go.
Yeah. All right.
He had to go.
Is there going to be any point where you start questioning Lincoln Riley?
Going in next year, I will be watching just kind of how things progress.
Yeah.
If it all of a sudden becomes an issue of then, do you need to bring in, not change out Lincoln Riley, but do you need to bring in a defensive coordinator who's on par with him as far as power structure, and how difficult does that get?
Oh.
Yeah.
Power structure? So neutering the head coach's power?
A little bit.
That has always worked.
Yeah, no, it's problematic, but also
never.
He needs to start showing up to all the other stuff too. So,
so you just want Lincoln Riley to be an offensive coordinator at that point?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. All right. So things are going well for USC right now. Things are going really well for USC right now. Okay. Well, we got that one out of the way. Caleb Williams crying after the game. How do we feel about that? I didn't have a problem with
I
it.
don't look. I genuinely
Whatever.
think the guy cares, and I think that
Sure.
people are like,
It's a weird
"Oh, he's got
look, but
all
'cause
this
we
money."
don't see it very
No.
often.
But also, how often do we see guys straight after games after bad losses in locker rooms?
Yep.
It's not often.
Yeah, but it was just weird to see it in the stand when he's in the stands, his face being covered. It was a weird, it was an odd thing to see, but I didn't understand the people piling on for it. It's
the
like,
whole idea,
well,
like
who
he's
cares?
coddled or he's a baby or something like that. I'm looking at the guy going, you think that guy that's laying it out on every single play is coddled? I don't know, man. I don't think that's the case.
I mean, I could see somebody thinking like he's coddled and like this is the first like real adversity he's had in his career,
Sure.
and this is how he's handling it. But at the same time, I'm not going to criticize a guy for caring.
That's the thing is,
just because he doesn't handle things like you doesn't mean that it's good or bad. I don't know.
if you're crying after a loss because you care, I don't understand how it's a bad thing. There's so much in sports where we're like, I wish people cared more.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that I saw. And I guess it's a Rorschach test for like you'll see what you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw that, my first reaction was the guy cares.
Yeah, this is odd because back-to-back years we've had to talk about your team's quarterbacks crying.
It happens.
I don't think that does. I think that's an anomaly. I mean, that's just that's one of those things that we're sitting there not
Like the whole Terrell
because
Owens,
it was Derek Carr last year, and this year we got Caleb Williams. That's like my favorite teams find a way to cheat somehow, some way, and your quarterbacks
they kept it up this
they cry.
weekend.
I don't get
paying
it.
off refs.
What?
The Patriots roughing the passer.
What do you mean they're paying off? It obviously didn't work. They lost.
Well, I know, but I mean that was maybe the worst roughing the passer call in the history of roughing the passer.
Quarterbacks are soft.
Tackling the quarterback was
Yeah.
the penalty.
Yep, that's it. That's it. We've seen that one.
Oof.
We've seen that one.
That was atrocious.
Who was it? Clay Matthews may have had the worst one. Remember when he was at Green Bay? It was it four years ago? Where he just literally tackled the quarterback, and it was when they first started doing the landing on the quarterback.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think it was the Commanders quarterback.
Mhm.
He landed on him. I don't even know who it was because they've had so many quarterbacks.
Pick
But
one.
he landed on him, and it was like, what are we supposed to do here?
Yeah, it wasn't even like a bad like land and bounce.
so
it just
dumb.
Really like land. Like, look, I get it because you look at the NFL right now and how many quarterbacks are in there that are backups or guys just thrown in there.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Protect
Yeah.
the quarterback, but also stop.
You're
getting paid millions of dollars. Stuff happens.
Yeah. Okay, 503-864-6326. That is the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. You can be listening to us on the Fan, 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2 on the Odyssey app, or right there on youtube.com/1080 AM, the Fan. So we've got YouTube comments are up and rolling right now. And the YouTube comments are a journey. Boy, they can just go all over the place. Like Farhad's already talking about Caleb Williams was crying because someone microwaved fish in the locker room. You never know why he was crying. You don't know what happened. Let him be emotional in was that his mom?
Yeah, his mom and his dad.
His dad looked like he was wearing a purple shirt. Was his dad right there?
Yeah, I'm almost
did
certain it was.
I don't know who it was, but I was like, at first I was like, is he with UW fans? Like maybe they're holding him up there and they're like, they're punching him, they're stabbing him. But he was up and he looked like he did like the Lambeau leap. His whole family was right there. All right. Hey, on top of that, on that note though, UW got to win.
They did.
UW got to win in the
Coliseum. It was a
Coliseum.
super fun game.
It was so drunk. Oh, my parlay that I talked about. It hit.
Oh.
I didn't get to bet it because we can't bet on DraftKings app, and I didn't drive all the way to, one of the casinos around here. But USC UW over. That was almost done by halftime.
Did you see the halftime line? They bumped it up to 104.5.
You're kidding me.
No.
That's stupid football.
Yeah.
But that one.
But I mean,
That was a no-brainer.
If you maybe get a little cleaner football in the fourth quarter, you're getting close.
But remember, my sicko parlay was you take the over of that game and then the under of Air Force Army,
Yeah,
that was 31.5, and that was 26 was the total there. 23-3.
That one might have hurt me more than the USC game.
That was a butt kicking.
That was tough.
But guess what?
Boys.
Under hit.
It did hit.
And then Iowa Northwestern,
which set football back 1,000 years.
0-0 at the half, baby. There was no doubt they were gonna hit the under on that thing at halftime.
God.
We're sitting pretty, baby. And that was like a 30 and a half. Like, I think it worked all the way up to 32. I don't know why. I have no idea why people are betting the over on that. That was silly talk. Those teams couldn't score. But if you would have bet that parlay, the over SEU dub, under Air Force Army, under Northwestern Iowa, which were two historically low over-under totals.
Yes, Iowa Northwestern was quite literally the lowest total in college football betting history.
You would have won that parlay on both sides.
How many teams in college football are averaging more than 30.5 points? It's got to be like half
30 and a half?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be half of FBS, right?
Yeah. If you look at the national scoring average, I'll look it up right now. 133 teams, so half of that.
Yeah.
Is,
I bet you it's close to half.
You're at 28 and a half is right smack dab in the middle of that.
So we're off by 2 points.
There, you said 30 and a half points?
Yeah.
There are 49 teams in college football averaging over 49 and a half. Or 30 and a half, sorry. Yeah, 49 and a half. 49 teams averaging over 30 and a half
So
points.
more than a third of FBS football.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Well,
good God.
You knew it was going to happen. All right. Well, we got a lot done here already.
There you go.
We got a lot.
We had to sports a little bit because we only have a little bit.
That's right. And I wanted to get your thoughts on USC. And it should be noted, Antonio Pierce, he must have felt all those players up before the game because he said, I'm going to touch my players. I'm going to feel them.
Mm-hmm.
They won.
They did.
He said he's a coach that needs to feel and touch his players.
They did beat the brakes off the Giants, and poor Daniel Jones got hurt because there's no one blocking anybody.
Yeah. When Antonio Pierce said that, I thought, could you imagine if a high school coach said that? You're not coaching.
No.
You can't be within 500 feet of a high school if you do that.
I believe, wasn't that like at the end of School of Rock, too? He said, I'm pretty sure I've touched all of your kids.
Oh, yeah. the assembly. No.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
It's so underrated.
Jack Black is
great.
Fantastic.
Did you see the Raiders graphic?
No.
After the win?
What'd they do?
So Antonio Pierce in his first press conference said, I was raised on NWA and the LA Raiders and all that. So they made a RWA, Raiders with Attitude. Because
that's
good.
I
was like, it's pretty good because he said we want to have attitude in that press conference. I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
Good job, social team.
Yeah, that is a...
Good job.
We need to do that. All right, 503-864-6326. That be the Vancouver Ford text line. Hey, they made a statement, but it wasn't the statement the Ducks were looking for on the scoreboard. It was another one. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. During my halftime interview with Dan Lanning, Ducks head coach, he was a little bit more spicy than I thought he would be.
Don't beat ourselves. Really disappointing start, really disappointing half, right? I don't care what the scoreboard says. We have a standard to play. We didn't match it in that half.
You wouldn't think that the score was 35-13 at that point.
No, because there was a certain level of sloppiness.
It was a big level of sloppiness.
Particularly in the first quarter when you've got a snap that goes off a wide receiver's leg. You've got an interception that bounces off a guy's chest.
Same receiver.
Yeah. Well, the first one's not his fault. That one's on the center.
No, that would be the second one. The snap.
Yes.
Yeah, the snap was the very first play of the game. The ball was not wet. I mean, and this is
the
thing.
atmospheric river did not appear.
It poured for probably, and I should
say during the game.
3 minutes is when it actually rained hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like the entire game, actually raining hard was about 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
There were some sprinkles here and there. It was mostly dry.
It was a very normal Oregon November day.
But that very first play of the game, Tez just was starting to run with the ball before he caught it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an interception. It's a bad luck Chuck ball right there. And that's the thing about it. Like, why Lanning was so upset, and I get it, but this is what I love, is that they do have this culture of, no, it's not going to be good enough for us. Like, if we do this against a better team, we're going to be down by a lot of points. We're not going to be having a 35-13 lead here. We are going to be in a fist fight where either it's going to be tied or we're losing this game. And that wasn't good enough for them because there was nothing Cal did early in that game. Well, really all day long. There was nothing Cal did to make that game as tight as it was, with the exception of the opening drive of the third quarter. When they marched down the field and they scored, that was the only drive where you were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, even in the first quarter, Cal puts a couple plays together, and then who was it? Was it Rogers? Was it Casey that threw the Cal offensive lineman?
Yes.
Rogers throws the right guard for Cal into Mendoza and causes a whack, whack, whack throw that is easily intercepted.
I'll tell you, that
was a bull rush.
That front seven is getting better as the season is going on because they are moving people. And that was another question I'd asked Lanning. I was like, hey, you got disruptive defensive line. And he's like, I don't care. It's not good enough.
You have to love that. You have to love that.
Different expectation in a different way.
That's that Saban. That's smart. That's unless you're perfect, which nobody ever is. They don't accept it.
Yeah,
and especially I don't think Lanning will ever admit this, especially after dropping the game in Washington.
Yep.
Now he's got that. It's not the fan base. It's his own stuff lingering over him. Because he knows that in order to kind of, I don't want to say redeem, but to shake that off his back, he has to be perfect.
Yep.
He has to have his guys ready and go out there. Next week, they got to go beat the crap out of USC. The week after that, they have to go out there and do it again so that they can get to the Pac-12 title game and go redeem that.
And I think what we saw was exactly what we were talking about last week, and it was kind of my fear heading into the game was, do they finally exhale after the coach who demands that excellence said after that Utah game, we put 4 quarters together.
Yep.
It kind of appeared that way, like you just take your eye off just a little bit. But look, they have more talent. They're a better team.
It'll come back.
They won 63-19. This week, you're going up against a team that offensively, you can't have any lapses when you're on defense.
That defense is terrible at USC, but if you give them multiple offensive opportunities, they will shred you.
And they'll keep they're a momentum team.
Yeah.
And that's where it's going to be coming down to physicality this week, and it's going to be a fun game to kind of well, I think it will be because of matchups. I mean, styles make fights and matchups, and we'll see kind of Oregon matched up really well with Utah, right?
Yes.
Because that was a physical, we are going to put you in a phone booth, and we're going to make this a game, not 53 in the third, but in a 10 by 10 cell, right? And we're going to make sure that this thing does not get squirrely. They matched up really well with Washington in the second half, but Washington put points up. They put yards up.
Yep.
There was yards to be had. They gave them fits in that first half. And look, USC's built more like UW than they are Utah.
For sure.
And so when you look at with the dominating games that they have had, It has, which has been most of them except for that Texas Tech game and the Washington game.
Yeah.
They have just absolutely put their thumb on the scale, and they have just leaned on teams. It's been with physicality and not against these high-powered finesse teams like UW and USC will be. So that's what the matchup is going to be an interesting one.
No, it will be. And again, I think Oregon's going to win this because, my God, the things going on at USC right now are not great.
Pretty bad.
But Caleb Williams, I mean, that throw, Dusty, that throw that he had escaping the pocket, rolling back to his left, throwing into the deep corner of the end zone is, whoo, buddy.
When I was watching, that was an incredible throw. He has incredible throws. He creates a lot of his
own problems.
Yeah,
because he tries to make a hero play every play, but I also think that's because he does not trust that offensive line one bit.
Yeah, but he should, because there are times where he has plenty of room to step up and he just doesn't do it. And you can get away with it in college, and he'll get away with it this next weekend too, because we've seen quarterbacks like that with that movement, and when they're backing up and they're getting outside the pocket, right? Oregon's going to try to corral him in and keep him inside and force him to step up and make those throws, which is weird to say with one of the best passers in all of college football. That, hey, we want him to step up and throw, because
when he gets outside, he breaks you. That's when he gets 40, 50, 60 yards.
So with that all being said, it's like, he'll have those opportunities, but in the NFL, the next level, it'll be interesting to see what kind of teams
what it looks
think
like
of that.
Yes, as opposed to putting it in the box. No, you can do it occasionally.
Sure, absolutely. It's a great skill set to have, no doubt.
And his improvisation skill is, I mean, it is Mahomesian. It's quite literally that style, and I don't say that loosely. It's special. That's what makes him so great. Is he's wildly accurate.
Yep.
And his improvisation is one of one.
Yep.
But the between the tackle stuff, he has regressed on this year. I'm not going to disagree with that one bit.
Yep. Oh, man. All right. Well, couple things. Bo Nix did it again. After what was a slow start, he started 7 of 14. He ended up 22 of 24 on his final 24 attempts. That was a pretty dang good effort by him, 386 yards. And then Oregon ran the ball very well again. So, look, 63-19, not much to glean off that win against Cal, except for slow start led to an angry coach and a different team coming out in the second half, where Oregon's defense did it again. Their defense only gave up 7 points. They only gave up 1 touchdown.
That's pretty good.
That was at the start of third quarter because of scoop and score and then a short field leading to field goals. That's a good day at the office, if you ask me.
It is. And that's what we're talking about. I was at the Blazers game, and I was talking to somebody else about the Ducks, and it was kind of the same round discussion that we had on Friday about, I know, but the Ducks don't really get a ton of sacks or a ton of interceptions or force a ton of turnovers. I'm like, yeah, and they're still this good. That's the thing, is that they just it's very workmanlike, and they just get you off the damn field. That's more impressive.
Yeah, and I came out of the game with a hell of a lot more respect, even though I had a ton of it before, for Jaden Ott and Fernando Mendoza. Those two guys, they're going to be back in another year, and those two are going to be really stinking good.
Yeah, they can play.
Oh, my goodness. All right, 503-864-6326. From the Ducks route, 63-19, to the Beavers, edging one out. It's hard to win on the road, but they done did it. Here's Rust with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge, online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on The Fan, Week 9 of the NFL wraps up with the Jets hosting the Chargers on Monday Night Football, 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. The Chargers are 3-point favorites. Giants head coach Brian Daboll confirmed today quarterback Daniel Jones out for the season with a torn ACL. Backup Tyrod Taylor on injured reserve already with a rib injury. He might not return this season. That leaves undrafted rookie Tommy DeVito and Matt Barkley as the only healthy quarterbacks, and Barkley was signed to the practice squad just last week. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert has a fractured right forearm and will have an MRI today to determine if there is any further damage. Goedert could be placed on IR. An MRI confirms Vikings running back Cam Akers has a torn left Achilles and is out for the season. He tore his right Achilles in 2021. Falcons head coach Arthur Smith announced Taylor Heineke will start at quarterback again on Sunday against the Cardinals. Over in baseball, Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic reports Brewers manager Craig Counsell leaving to take the same gig with the Cubs to the tune of 5 years and over $40 million. That makes him the league's highest paid skipper. Now, former Cubs manager David Ross was under contract for 2024. The Guardians have hired Mariners bullpen and quality control coach Stephen Vogt to be their new manager. Vogt is the 14th former catcher among Major League managers, and multiple reports say the Mets hiring Yankees bench coach Carlos Mendoza as their new manager. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The Odyssey app is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, podcasts, and of course, your home for 1080 The Fan.
what a win. Bounce back. They bounce back. They outgain Colorado by 202 yards on the ground. Good thing they changed offensive coordinators because remember, didn't Dion say that this offensive line is going to be completely different and they were going to look completely different and they're going to be downhill more often and they're going to play like a completely different team?
Yes, and then what happened?
Yeah. Well, they ran for -7 yards and gave up 4 sacks for 41 yards of lost offense. So, I mean, in that regard, I guess they did improve because they gave up a sack fewer than they usually do.
Better.
But -7 yards rushing to this Oregon State Beavers team. If you're wondering, that is their worst rushing performance of the season. In order, they have given up, or they've rushed for -7 yards. Just last week, 25 yards. Then against Oregon, 40 yards. So the state of Oregon has allowed 33 yards rushing on 44 carries. That seems good. That seems really good.
Yeah.
44 carries for 33 yards. Ducks and Beavs absolutely have dominated Colorado.
That's tough, man.
Up
Like,
front.
I know you get those games that just don't go your way and you get overmatched, but
Yep.
I can't think of a time when an FBS program that's not complete, just dog poo.
Yeah.
And the Colorado's not. I mean, they still there's real gaps between them and the haves and the have-nots.
They're a long
trenches.
ways away, yeah.
But like they got treated like an FCS school in the trenches.
They did.
I mean, legitimately.
But they have, in their skill positions are so dang good, and they really are. It kept them in the game, and so did, look, make no mistake, the same things that plagued Oregon against Cal to make that game closer than it should have been in the first half and to start that third quarter is a lot of the same things that plagued OSU against Colorado. When Anthony Gould and Deshaun Fenwick run into each other and you cause a fumble, when Damian Martinez fumbles the ball and coughs it back up and goes the other way, you're giving Colorado the ball back in those opportunities where you put your foot on the gas and you step on them. And you have that opportunity to have that avalanche go downhill and watch Colorado kind of roll over. Well, when you give the other team the ball back, it opens up the door for them. And then when you give them hope, like Oregon State, like the final score was so much closer than that game felt as we were watching it, right? Because when you have a one-possession game, when it's 26-19 as the final, it never really felt like that. Oregon State is going, and I don't know, and I didn't hear Jonathan Smith, and I didn't really think to look it up because I haven't really thought about it all that much. But Jonathan Smith's 2-point decision, when you're up 20-3, to go for 2 right there, it's like if you kick the extra point and go up 21-3, you're up 18.
Yeah.
And if you're up 18, then you go for 2 because it makes sense. But that one didn't make sense because go up by 18 points and make them score 3 touchdowns.
Is that I want to get in the bag? Is that
I don't know.
Is that I want to get in the bag here? Because sometimes you've been working on something all week, and you get the look.
Yeah,
and you're like,
but no, because they went for 2, and they knew that they were going for 2, and even if you get the penalty and you scoot up, right? You're sitting there and you're looking at it going, what is the benefit here?
That's
22
that's
to
why
3.
I'm going that way because it feels like they had to have. There's some other reason.
19 isn't that much better than 18.
The math doesn't tell you to go there. There's no analytics. No one is telling you to go there.
But what happened was the bad snap, and you're in the shotgun.
Then it really gets you.
Bad snap. They scoop and score, and all of a sudden you're looking at a 20-5 football game, and that kind of changed the flow of the game from there on out because Colorado scores with a minute 45 or so left in the game, and you're going, do they really even have a chance to win this game? Yeah, they do. It's a 7-point game, right? Oregon State gets first down because Colorado can't stop the run against anybody. But you get that first down and you ice it and you seal it because that game really shouldn't have been that close and it didn't ever really feel that close. But that was a head scratcher as to just what are we doing here and why do we do that? I don't know.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It just made the game closer.
Yes, and the
I don't know.
thing, the only thing that I can take away from that,
Yeah.
is there was something there that they watched in the film, and they're like, this is a prime opportunity to get an extra point, put a little momentum, rub a little dirt on it,
Yeah.
just a little spice, because there's no math reason behind what they did.
No.
And then to have it come back and bite them the way that it did going for 2 the other way, that made it just like, ooh, buddy. Well, that hurts, because if let's just say that the worst case scenario happens, and that's the reason they lose.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. I didn't understand it at the time, but look, that game, and you won. You were dominating the game.
Yeah.
And like the whole reason why I say I don't understand why you go for that is because you were in such control of that game.
Why give them anything?
Yeah, it would have changed the way that Colorado plays out the final, because it would have been down 10, right? Instead of having the ability to go and score a touchdown at the end to tie it. But as it was, they win the game. You get out of there. You're just fine. It wasn't the two dumbest coaching decisions that we saw in that whole game was whatever the hell Colorado was trying to do at the end of the half, where Dion tries throwing the ball from his own 5-yard line. You have proven you just need to get to halftime at this point. Like, do not risk it here. But he throws it twice, or then they're like, oh shoot, we should run it and try to get out of the half.
Yeah.
Jonathan Smith's like, timeout.
You're gonna do what now?
Scores a touchdown right before the break and gives them, that pad. But it was just like, I just don't. And then calling a timeout with 2 seconds left. I get where Dion was coming from, where you want them to snap the ball as many times as they absolutely have to.
Sure.
But call the timeout right when the other play ends instead of talking to the official.
Yeah, there was 30-something seconds?
So, hey, Coach Smith gets the pass on that. You win. You won comfortably.
You can push it to the side, but that's a couple special teams. Yeah. Who's the special teams?
Well, I don't think that was the special teams. That's Jonathan Smith's call to go for two, right?
It's his call, but like, special teams coordinator's got to be kind of like looking around, because that's a couple special teams issues that it's the offense that's out there, but it's a special team situation.
Yeah.
And that's a couple now where in those situations, they've mucked it up.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it. It cost you at Arizona. Didn't cost you in this one. That was a imposing performance from Oregon State.
Sure, you would have
liked it.
Sure, you would have liked to see more points up on the board, but whatever.
And Aiden Childs' touchdown run, man. That was a scoop.
He does something every game that's kind of like, ooh, this guy's going to be fun.
I like him.
I remember I turned it on just in time to see that score and then hear the color analyst absolutely butcher his last name.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Chiles.
No.
That's kind of a dope version of screwing it wrong, though.
He wants his baby
Aiden
back
Chiles.
ribs.
That's a baby back touchdown right there. All right. Okay. Well, Beavs win. Now you get this week against Stanford in that gauntlet at the end of the year, man. They finish with UW and Oregon, and we're going to find the mettle of this team over the next 3 weeks for Oregon State. Still in the hunt. Just got to take care of their business right now. All right. Hey, it was 3 straight wins for the Blazers. Now it's 1 loss. Let's digest what happened for the hometown team over the weekend, because there was good, bad, and ugly. And now Danny's not even pooping right now. He's fine with people on Twitter.
I am.
Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
People cared. People cared. There was a legit air in Moda Friday night. It was rocking in there.
Did they care because those courts were so damn hard on your eyes?
Look, man,
I felt like Kramer with the Kenny Rogers Roasters moving in next door.
I didn't get to see much of it on the screen because I was in the building, but the problem with the courts is they're hastily
ugly?
thrown together. There's dead spots. I was talking to Ryan Gomes, one of the player development coach, former NBA player.
Loved Ryan
Yeah.
Gomes.
So, and I was talking to him before the game, and he hands me the ball and put the ball down on the floor. Dun dun dun, and it's hollow spots in the floor. And he's like,
Oh, that's not
So in Indianapolis, the floor was too slick. Guys were sliding all over the place. In Denver, where in the Dallas game, the 3-point line was too far out. They had to redo the 3-point line before the game. So not a great rollout on the courts. Oh, yeah.
That seems like something you'd want to double check, like, some point.
Yeah, Grant
right
Williams
before game time.
Grant Williams is in shoot around, leaving everything short, and he was like, "What the hell, man?" And so they measured it, and it was indeed too far out. But outside of that, there was legitimate juice. People cared. Across almost every single game was competitive. There was only one bad game on the night, and so there was a little bit of attention to the caring, like paying attention early season.
So the Blazers are undefeated in the in-season tournament.
They are.
I will hoist a banner for those that are wondering. It will
Absolutely.
It will rise to the rafters of the fan studios, along with the 2 Summer League championship banners that live in the rafters of the 1080 The Fan studios. If they win the in-season tournament, there will be a hastily made banner being.
Listen, man, they go to the in-season tournament final. I might go down to Vegas for the game.
Yeah, I would say I'll accompany
There you
you,
go.
kind sir.
We'll make something happen. We'll do a show from down there.
I think we owe it to the people.
Right?
I think we do.
So we'll figure out something there. But Friday night, Shaden Sharp showed
When is that championship, by the way?
December
December what?
13th.
That sounds like a question.
It is a question. It's somewhere
It's
in there.
mid-December.
Mid-December. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
December 8th.
Shane Sharp.
Shaden Sharp played 46 minutes with the overtime. Hilariously.
I love him.
Oh, the question in the locker room afterwards. First of all, like, he was congested as hell, and he was very clearly sick. And somebody asked if he was sick. He's like, "Yeah, been sick for a couple of days." And they said, "So you're sick and played 46 minutes?" And he says, "Yeah. When I looked at the box score, I saw how many minutes, and I had to ask how many minutes are in a game."
Yeah, he didn't know 48 minutes.
Not a guy who I think I've told this story before. Last year, a guy put him on the spot and said, "Who's the starters for Memphis?" And he said, Ja and Jaren and that really muscly guy. Talking about Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
He's just kind of
could have been Steven Adams.
He's a basketball savant who just kind of stumbles into greatness, and when he actually figures it out and puts it all together, it's going to be terrifying. But what you saw him do Friday night was get to the free throw line, have defensive playmaking, stuff pop up all over the place that you're just like, oh my God, this guy's 20 years. The block that he made to send them to overtime on Luke Kennard was a play that he made a mistake on, lost the ball, flipped around and covered 18 feet in a blink of an eye and blocked a 3-pointer at the buzzer.
Pretty good.
And then you look at the box scores and you go, oh, the Blazers shot 40% from the field, 28% from the line, or from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And that's just something that's just not going to win many games. And that came about again yesterday. The Blazers are the worst shooting team in the league. And this is just going to be a problem, particularly without Anthony. They're just not going to have the gravity or the consistency to be able to knock down shots.
Yeah, but there is an element of 26-2 run, building up a 12-point lead and then blowing that, where it's like, that doesn't matter. Anthony Simons, would he help? Sure, but you're professionals, right? There's an expectation you make some shot, at least more than a couple of free throws.
And they had so many shots rattle out that were good looks.
It was brutal.
But also, you do have to tip your cap to Memphis. They do have the last 2 defensive players of the year in Marcus Smart and Jaren Jackson Jr. Desmond Bane is a plus defender. Like they are a fundamentally sound team, and sometimes stuff gets just sideways and just it happens.
Yeah, but a lot of teams score more than 14 points against them. I would in a quarter.
No, that's basketball.
That's brutal.
And you go back and look, and I've showed you a bunch of the clips already in breaks. They got looks.
Yeah. They do.
Malcolm Brogdon couldn't hit a shot, and Brogdon is a career 39% three-point shooter who shot at 6 of 20 on the game.
And that is brutal. And that's where it comes back to. They just need more guys with the ability to knock down shots.
Yeah, it's a make or break, make or break league. When it comes to shooting.
But don't get. There's so many people that are just getting too upset about it.
Yes. They can't shoot. And
what did you expect?
And people keep talking about Shaedon Sharpe needs to shoot more. Shaedon Sharpe needs to be able to create shots more because this is not NBA 2K. You can't spam money plays over and over again and get the same good look over and over again.